And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. With me, I have Jeff and Corey once again from Switch the Envelope. Welcome back, guys. I do appreciate you guys coming out on the show again, talking about Gremlins. We did Cliffhanger last time. How you guys been doing?
Thanks for having us back on. We're doing great.
Doing great, man.
That's great. And I
Good
just
to be
want to say
back.
I enjoyed your episode from that you just released yesterday, I believe,
Uh-huh.
with Michael Myers versus John McClane. I laughed my butt off at that.
Yippee
Michael
Michael
Myers.
Myers. Yeah.
Yes. That
Yeah.
actually needs to be a T-shirt now, by the way.
I think it should be. Yippee-ki-yay, Michael Myers. Yeah. Once we get our shop up and running, we're totally going to do a T-shirt.
Yep.
That's funny.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
That needs to be a viral meme.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun trying to go through the entire timeline of Halloween in that episode. Like, because it goes in many different ways, that timeline. It is not a coherent franchise.
It definitely doesn't. I always say the words continuity, schmottenudity. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what happens in the timelines. Continuity, schmottenudity. But anyways, guys, like I said before, we're going to be talking about the 1984 Gremlins movie. This is actually part of our Scream on Screens Halloween flavor special that I've been doing for a while. I've also reviewed the new Halloween movie as well. So go in and check that out where you guys get your major podcast from. But tonight, Gremlins 1984, this movie had a budget of $11 million. It made $212.9 million at the box office, which is crazy.
It is
For that time.
a lot. Yeah, it's over like 2 releases too. Like they released it in June and then they released it again in 85 and that compounded it up to like 160 million dollars, and then add in the global take and worldwide, 220 something million dollars. It's incredible for what it is for it to have grossed that much money.
Definitely. I was actually surprised by that number, to be honest.
Yeah. It was quite surprising.
It was a
Definitely.
phenomenon back then, though. You couldn't have an 80s kid that didn't have a mini gizmo back then.
Right?
Everybody had one.
Everybody wanted a Mogwai.
I know I want one. I still do. I still want
I had one.
Yeah.
I had
You
one
did- did you
somewhere. I don't know
really?
where it is. I really did. I had Gizmo somewhere.
I mean, I watched this with
Yeah.
I watched this with my 10-year-old son. The thing I love about this movie is it's kind of an introductory film into horror for like kids,
Mhm.
right? It is a little bit violent, and that led to sort of like PG-13 for the time. It's pretty tame by today's standards, I think. But every time Gizmo came up on screen, he was just like, "Aw, I want one." And so it was like, yeah, okay, I can see exactly why this made, 200 plus million dollars at the box office, because everybody was just like, look at how cute that little guy is. I want one.
Exactly. If the toys sell and then people are going back and watching the film after the toys sell, you have yourself a gold mine, especially during that time in the 1980s where basically word of mouth was actually the way of making things go viral.
Yeah.
If it was bad, nobody would talk about it and it would be removed from the screen instantly, pretty much. So, but with Gremlins, though, this movie has always been one of those movies that has stayed close to my heart. Even as a kid, I was born in '85, so my mom actually rented this movie for me to watch as a kid. And so this also was directed by Steven Spielberg, but also too, I like how they have that little Indiana Jones flavor though to it because of the Easter egg that we see at the Christmas tree store though too. So I find
Well-
that really funny that they incorporated Indiana Jones into this horror world a little bit.
Yeah, the radio
show
guy is all dressed up like Indiana Jones. It is directed by Joe Dante, who also did The Burbs, and
Executive produced by
Steven Spielberg and Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall. This was like one of the first Amblin Entertainment movies to be released. So,
By the way, The Burbs, excellent movie.
oh,
I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Joe Dante, in general, as a director, I was looking through his catalog and like Matinee, The Burbs.
The Burbs is one of those movies that people forget about, but a Tom Hanks movie that everybody should see.
Yes,
That's awesome.
absolutely.
One of the Corey Feldman movies that needs to be seen.
This one too.
Yes.
One of Corey Feldman's first.
Yes.
Yeah, I have loved a lot of Joe Dante's movies. This one has that nostalgia feel that that you just tapped into, which I completely agree with. Like there was something about watching this film that felt like, oh, this was my childhood. But the film, I don't feel held up at all.
Yeah, I thought this movie is utterly terrible. But I liked watching it again.
It's fun. I'll give it that. It's real
It is
fun.
such a fun movie.
Yeah.
But as far as going back, like you sit there watching it going, how did they
What?
get mini? How did all of these gremlins get mini clothing? Like,
Yeah.
where'd all the mini clothing
Maybe
come
one
from?
of the gremlins was a tailor. Like, he's just
all of a sudden
sewing
they're
up
sitting
stuff.
all of a sudden they're sitting in a bar with all these like little tiny clothes. Where'd the little tiny clothes
Right?
come from?
And you know what? I always get confused when they do that because at first I'm like, are the people turning into gremlins? What's going on here?
You know, that would have actually made more sense.
It would have made more sense. Yeah, body snatchers type
if
of thing.
the gremlins were turning into
Nope.
people, because all of a sudden they're smoking,
Yep.
they're drinking,
Right.
they're chilling in a bar. They've got they're all dressed up in different, and they're like dressed up in like different like eras.
Yeah.
They're like doing like
The
jazz
slappers,
club.
there's-
They're doing like like swing club. They're doing all this different stuff. And like, where'd they go to find all this vintage clothing in their size? I always wondered that. Like, did they go to a different club? Like, was there a...
like you could kind of explain it as because at one point, like the movie, the finale of the movie ends in a department store. So you could argue that like maybe the Gremlins had raided that store at one point.
the kids department, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was like a Build-A-Bear type of situation. I know my
Build-A-Bear
grandmother
didn't exist back then.
No. But my grandmother used to collect these bears that were dressed like Humphrey Bogart and whatever, and they were relatively gremlin sized. So like that trench coat, the flasher gremlin that comes out, which is wholly inappropriate for a PG rated movie, but like what is essentially a kid's horror film. Like I could see if there was like a doll section, or maybe I don't know, that those particular bears, they would have gremlin sized clothing. But yeah, the children's section, I don't know. But where did they get the tiny guns? That's what I don't know.
Well, with they aren't able to speak, but with
they are.
with pinpoint accuracy, they're able to call on pop culture references from American, not just world, like American pop culture references.
Yeah.
They did Flashdance, man. They actually did. There's someone that does Flashdance. One of them gets in leg warmers and starts doing Flashdance.
He's a maniac,
man.
That part made me laugh though when I saw that, and also to the flasher. I'm like, okay, my mom didn't realize what she rented whenever I was a kid. But you know, it's. I'm gonna be honest with you. At first, I'm like, does the special effects hold up now compared to where I was as a kid? As a kid, yeah, they hold up. But I was also feeling a little bit biased at first today. I'm like, you know, because it was hard for me to detach myself from the film and try and pick out the fact that if this is me being nostalgia or if this is me trying to adapt into a 2021 36-year-old me feeling like the special effects faded away a little bit. And after I separated myself a little bit, I'm like, yeah, the special effects just don't hold up as much, especially when you look at the puppeteers and stuff like that. And also, too, the introduction into Gizmo himself is also kind of cheesy, but it also works, especially with the little the Chinese old man and everything. And he goes into the basement. And here's the thing: I always thought the old man sold Gizmo to the main character's father, and instead it winds up being the grandson that winds up basically stealing him. So I forgot all about that.
It's a literal back alley deal.
It's quite literally a back alley deal.
In a back alley.
Yeah. He like handshakes him over the $200 and he hands him the thing. Remember, don't feed him after midnight. Yeah.
I actually think the puppeteers, or I mean, not puppeteers, but I think the puppets actually work pretty well. I think the Gizmo looks a little bit, I mean, he looks a little rough because you can tell he can tell, I mean, he just looks fake. But I think the Gremlins, they actually look pretty good to me. I think they look good now. Looking back on it, I just think the storyline is so weird. Like, I mean, these guys come out of, in the beginning of the movie, you have the first thing these gremlins want to do is just kill. Like, the first thing he does is kill the science teacher.
Well, the first thing they do is mischievously string the dog up with Christmas lights.
That's what they do when they're still
little baby gremlins.
When they're still like little magwas or whatever.
Were they
little Furbies is what I like
they're
to call
still
them.
Yeah, they haven't changed or anything.
Oh, I thought they had just changed.
They're just being mischievous. But then when the first thing they do when they come out, and they're like what are they when they come out? Are they gremlins? Is that what they are?
when they pop out of their pods,
That's what I'm saying.
they're gremlins.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they first come out of being gremlins, like the first thing the guy does is he actually eats the head of the science teacher. Okay,
Well,
so
yeah.
like he is like ready to kill, but then it feels like after that, all they do is want to make. They're still mischievous. They're like,
Yeah,
then they're dressing up in a bar and
Yeah.
and
They're just smoking and have a good time.
smoking and having Then they go see Snow White.
I
I
think-
think all of them go to see Snow White
like,
and eat popcorn.
They're born with an agenda. It's like wipe out all of. Well, see, like I don't. Yeah, the logic of it doesn't quite fit either because the gremlins
That's what
are
I'm
just
saying.
supposed to be sort of
Right.
mischief makers, right? The older guy who's like the World War II veteran who's all about like everything American made. He warns of these gremlins that would like lead to mechanical failures of their planes and all that kind of stuff, which is a real sort of folklore that came out of World War II. But then, yeah, all they do is kill everybody, and then when they're done killing everybody, then they kind of become mischievous, and they're just like running amok. It's like they came out of their pods, destroyed all of humanity in that town, and then they were like, all right, everybody, let's take a break. Who wants to see a movie? Who wants to get drunk?
And then they just go after they're done killing everybody, they just go into a theater and watch Snow White.
Yep.
What the hell?
Yep. Stripes got smokes. He's also on candy duty.
What were they smoking when they wrote this script? Like, I don't understand.
all I have to say is Steven Spielberg had to smoke some great weed during that time.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure they all were. I think they were
The 80s.
sitting
It was
around
probably-
a room.
It's probably
Right.
cocaine.
Yeah, I was thinking, more like cocaine.
This was one of the first scripts ever written by Christopher Columbus, who eventually would go on to be, like the director of Harry Potter. He directed Home Alone, and all that kind of stuff. He wrote this spec script as just an example that of his writing so that he could try to get a job in Hollywood.
And he still kept working after
I
this.
know. He got big roles after this. Steven Spielberg saw the script and was like, this is original.
Yeah, but Home Alone he didn't write. Home Alone was written by John Hughes. So
No, he directed it. Yeah, he directed. Although he did do a few passes on the script, but yeah, like he this was a spec script. This was like he just wrote Gremlins. and then
that's
it got bought by Amblin. Yeah.
And this is why we have no continuity, no structure into what they're doing.
It's basically his student script. Yeah.
His audition.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
But you know what though? I don't like Corey Feldman's character in this. After looking at his character, I'm like, at first I'm like, okay, I liked his character whenever I was a kid. Now as an adult, I'm like, you're a douchebag. Because he wants to spin it, because first he throws the covers over Gizmo, and then he starts reading comics, and then all of a sudden you see Gizmo moving his arms, and then he interacts with Gizmo a little bit, and then all of a sudden he gets bored with Gizmo after he accidentally spills some water on him.
Yeah, he
And-
spends 15 seconds with an alien creature, and it's like, meh, comics.
I feel like I feel like this movie was actually two different movies and they're strung together because I feel like the beginning of it was awesome, and then with
It's like noir. It's like 50s noir feeling with the like Chinatown and the dad in the trench coat.
And then you have like the Corey Feldman characters in it, and all of a sudden you never see him again. You see him the one time cut the cord with the
outside of his window,
and then that's it. And then
he's pointless in this movie.
Yeah, and then the rest of the movie is just craziness. Like it looks like someone came in and rewrote the ending, like the last 45 minutes of the movie. Like
it's possible.
The beginning of the movie was pretty good. The mom goes ape shit on the gremlins and just kills a bunch of gremlins in the house.
So in the original script, it was a lot darker, right? Spielberg and Dante sort of toned it back a lot in tone to keep it more in a horror comedy vibe. But the mom is supposed to die in the original script when she gets attacked by the gremlins out of the Christmas tree and whatever. It then cuts to the son coming home and the gremlins throw the mom's head down the stairs. That's how it was originally supposed to play out. And they were like, it might be a little too dark. A little too dark.
It might be.
Yeah. But the mom, like, even
she's
before
badass.
that, but even before the mom gets attacked in the Christmas tree, she's gone crazy on all those different gremlins and killed them with the dad's inventions.
Blender. She put one in a microwave, exploded it.
Which was a pretty cool scene.
Awesome. Honestly, the movie I want to see is that mom just like double grabbing knives and going on a rampage against these gremlins. That's the movie I really want to
Yeah,
see.
when I
That would be
hadn't
cool.
remembered it.
Yeah.
I didn't remember a lot of the movie, and then I saw the mom, that whole scene with the mom, and I'm like, oh, this movie gets really
Badass.
good.
Yeah, like Charlize Theron recast. We'll do a Gremlins 3 where it's just the mom's story and she's just kicking gremlin ass for 2 hours. Absolutely.
That'd be hilarious.
Mom against Gremlins.
Yeah.
Gremlins 4.
Gremlins 4, Mom's Revenge.
I can see
Serial
the trailer.
Yeah, but like, yeah, at one point she like double grabs some steak knives or something, and she's like charging down the hall to the front room. It's like, you go get him, Mom. Yeah.
And you know what
She's
though? At first I
awesome.
thought the mother does die because it's been so long that I saw the movie and everything. Especially whenever the gremlin jumps out of the Christmas tree, I'm like, oh, she's gonna die.
Yep.
But no, she ends up fighting. That's actually one of the things I have to say that they did right with this this 80s movie. They actually gave her a strong part to where she fights these gremlins off. She's protecting her home. She's by herself. She doesn't have her son with her. And I like that. I like that they have a well-structured mother who's a total badass against these gremlins and then throws them in the microwave and then nukes them.
Yeah,
that
badass
was
female
badass.
character. I liked
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, totally. She's my favorite character in the entire movie.
Yeah, and the dad's a
that
douche,
might be
man.
That might be like
Yeah.
the adult viewing, right? Like as a kid, I'm like with our main character, but as an adult, like, yeah, the parent.
Well, the mom's the best character.
She's great. Yeah, the dad is a bit of a douchebag.
The dad's a total douchebag, and the son's kind of stupid. The whole
This-
the whole movie, the son's kind of
Little bit.
stupid.
You know what I don't get, okay? At first, I'm like, oh, he's bringing this gift home to his son. I'm like, well, how old is his son? Then you see
Yeah.
his son. I'm like,
Son's like 22.
Right?
He
Even
works in
even
a
searching
bank.
lower.
Oh, and like, I'm sorry. I know it's the 80s, and I often make the joke that like people in the 80s in their 20s often look like they were mid 30s. And so it's weird to look back at photos of like olden times, from 30 years ago, 40 years ago, because everybody looks a lot older than they are. But nothing is more crystallized that idea than Judge Reinhold in this movie saying, I'm 23 and I have, and I'm a manager or whatever. By the time I'm 30, I'll be vice president or whatever. And I was like, you're 23? You are 45, my friend.
Actually, the better example of that is in Goodfellas when you have
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro,
21-year-old.
I'm 21, and he's
No,
like,
you are not.
He's like, wow, you are definitely in your 40s.
Yeah. Clearly, you are middle-aged. Yeah.
that's the scene that always crashed in my head, though, at Goodfellas. Like, no, you're not 23, dude. You were 23 back probably when you were playing other roles, maybe taxi driver or somewhere around that area. But no.
You got a receding hairline, buddy. You are not 20.
The suit he's wearing is 20 years old.
But this character though, he works in a bank. And also too, I'm like, couldn't he just get his own Christmas gift? Why does his dad have to rip off a Chinese bank?
Well, that and like his dad's an inventor, so like you would think that his dad could have made him a gadget
Right.
or something.
Well,
Like,
don't forget they
no,
only
he's
work
looking
for a
for the
few
perfect
hours and
gift.
it breaks.
That's true. His dad is a pretty terrible inventor.
And then the first thing that his dad thinks about when he sees all these crazy aliens popping up is, oh, I could sell those. Like, what the hell, man?
That's a good business opportunity. They're terrorizing
let's see
the
how
world.
many people are going to stick to those rules, because we can't even stick to our own diets. What makes you think that we can stick to those 3 rules that the kid laid out in front of him?
I mean,
if I saw water drip on an animal and it, multiplied into like 15 animals,
like, just balls popped off and then grew into.
I'd be like,
I'd
we're taking this
terrified.
to the San Diego Zoo and they're going to analyze this thing.
No, we're
crazy.
euthanizing this thing because this seems not great. Its back bubbled. Poor Gizmo's back just started bubbling like a cauldron. And Corey Feldman was like, comics. I mean, that's cool. Whatever. There's like furballs everywhere. I'm not that interested in it. And they were so laissez-faire about the whole thing too. Like the main character.
That's why I said he's stupid.
Yeah, he was just like, I don't know. Now I got 6.
And watch what happens when I do this.
Yeah.
Goes to the
Anybody want a
science
puppy? Like,
and I'm sorry, but if you had pods growing in your attic, wouldn't you be a little more?
Fuck that.
I'm
out. Burn it all.
Right.
I want to burn my house down if there's a spider that touches me in my house.
Heck yeah, dude.
If
Because
there's
like,
a pod that shows up from
They have
this alien thing.
They have like 5 giant pods growing in their attic, and
Oh.
they're like, wait, let's just take one of them to the scientists that are the local scientists at the school.
It's a high school teacher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
No.
Although I don't think they take a pod to him. I think they take one of the other Mogwais,
like a
And it
cocoon.
turns into a pod.
and it
Yeah.
turns into a pod in his office because he takes blood and splashes it with
But
water.
nobody
it
ever
gets fed
got-
after midnight. That's what it is.
Nobody got anything good from a local high school teacher except from Breaking Bad. Okay, okay, this guy is not the guy from Breaking Bad. This is the teacher from Gremlins.
Yeah. Can you imagine if that was Bryan Cranston in this movie? Like early role of Bryan Cranston's, and we could have done a supercut from like Gremlins to
New movie. Gremlins meets Breaking Bad.
You know what? We need to make a reboot of this. Have Jesse Pinkman
Yeah.
in there, and then have Ryan Cranston. It would be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's the movie.
So Charlize Theron as the mom, rampaging. Bryan Cranston as the history or the science teacher that's turning the Gremlins into an empire.
But yeah, I do have to agree though that the father is a douchebag, especially when it comes down to him wanting to sell these other mugwiles. After he just saw what happened to Gizmo and everything, and it's like, I can make money off of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, that part was sleazy. Then also too, he's over at a con or something at a convention.
Yeah, I was a
Trying
weird
to
ass
s-
inventor con. I don't know what was going on there. There's a robot on a telephone with a cowboy hat. Like it went into some weird territory at that convention.
That's what you call your local Comic Con, where
But
it's
you know,
like
that's-
5 people.
That's actually before
Right.
conventions were like a thing, like a real thing.
Sure.
Like, I think today, if this movie was to be remade, I think that convention scene would be a lot different.
Well,
It'd probably be more positive.
But he wasn't at like a fan convention type thing.
No, he was at a business
He was
convention.
at a business inventors convention.
But
kind
still,
of
I
thing.
think they would have put the convention in a more positive light because today, right now, conventions are thought of differently. You know,
That's true. I mean, that's valid. Yeah.
or they would have changed it to be like him being more of a sleazy, on the road kind of a door-to-door salesman.
Yeah, I think it would have been better if he was a door-to-door salesman and not an inventor. Like the invention stuff just seems like weird Doc Brown stuff.
It really
doesn't
does.
make it, but it doesn't add to anything. Like with Doc Brown, it's like, oh, one of his crack-brained inventions actually finally works. Turns out it's his best one. It's a freaking time machine.
But I thought that was
It
gonna
never pays off.
But
in,
I thought that was
in
going to be how
Gremlins.
they got rid of the
Yeah,
Gremlins.
that's what
I was like,
thought.
wait, did I forget something? Like, is that how they got rid of the Gremlins? Like, I
Nope.
and then that never
It's just a
happened.
quirk. They fix it by 85. It's fine. By the time they're making Back to the Future, they're like, okay, we now know what to do with crackpot inventor guy. Yeah. 1 year later, they're just like, we got this.
Although I love the scene where Stripe, you know, the
Right? Yeah.
the really
Our
crazy
leader.
when he
Right.
walks into the YMCA and just jumps in the pool.
Yeah.
He's like,
Cannonballs
fuck
in
you
that.
guys! I'm jumping in the pool and I'm making a bunch of me.
And they were like, no.
But yeah, this definitely back then it was actually good. Now it's not. Looking back at it, it's not as good as I remembered. But the other thing I liked though that I thought was funny was the woman with the with that little electric chair coming down the stairs, and they hot.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden
E,
Evil
you see
Miss
it just-
Cratchit or whatever.
Right. Which I'm glad that they got revenge on her. She deserved it.
Yeah. She was a complete ass the entire movie. And it's so rewarding to see her get yeeted out that window.
Point of order again. How did the Gremlins know to dress up like
Carolers?
to get the clothes to dress up like carolers and to sing like carolers?
Yeah, they had to learn a song
to
There
bring
was a
her
rehearsal
out,
and everything. Yeah,
to bring her out, and then to go in there and then and fix her. Now, also they had to also know electronics
that's true.
because they had to fix her chair
Yeah, he went over there and rewired her chair
while they were out.
Yeah.
These were some
Well, okay, so
badass-
in the folklore, though, gremlins are intuitive with mechanical mischief, right? They're screwing up airplanes. They're screwing up tanks.
touche.
They're screwing up trucks, right? Tractors. It's all explained that like, oh, they're pretty good at rewiring stuff to not work, right?
Or to
There's
kill
never really
somebody.
mention of them murdering people, but they do a plenty or a lot of murdering in this particular movie. But when she got yeeted out, that was really funny. My 10-year-old cracked up at that one. I was like, I'm not sure if I should be proud of him like getting this joke so hard, but because it's pretty dark. She just gets launched out of her second story, window, I guess, and dies on the snow, cold. It's very cold.
But yeah,
yeah.
that's how I like dark humor, though. That's just me.
Yeah.
And if someone dies in a certain way and it's part of that dark humor, I laugh my butt off every single time. And when she gets it, it makes me laugh even harder, to be honest.
It's funny talking about Gremlins right now makes me like the movie more
Yeah.
than when I was actually watching it, and I was like, this movie just is stupid.
It's I mean it's like Roger Corman level B movie, right? It's Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, essentially, right?
It's
So
it's better.
You have
than
to have
that.
a well,
It's
it
better
is,
than
yeah,
that.
yeah, it is. But I'm saying like it's on that sort of same vibe, right? Where you go in knowing like, okay, the logic's not going to add up. The story is going to be kind of haphazard, and there's going to be elements of it that don't quite make any sense, but it should be fun.
My question though
I
was,
do think it succeeds in being fun.
yeah, my question though was, how did they get, or why is Steven Spielberg attached to this movie?
Young production company looking for interesting new ideas, and it worked out. I mean, they made a crap ton of money on this movie.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me that this heap of trash is attached to Steven Spielberg.
Heap of trash.
Well, I mean, think of all the other films he's done, and does this? I mean, one thing is not like the other here. You know, like what? Why is this? I mean, talking about it, this movie really was fun. It really is a fun movie.
It's
right?
such a fun ride.
Right. It's fun. I mean, it gives you a chance to turn your brain off for about an hour and just enjoy the ridiculousness of Gremlins without having to think about the concept of certain events that happens and stuff like that in this movie, and just go in, watch it, laugh, have a few laughs with your friends, have a few beers probably, and just enjoy it and have a blast watching it and enjoying it with friends. That's what I look at it as.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah,
but if you're looking for what's that?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like the sequels of Gremlins 2, the new batch. I think maybe this only one. Is there Gremlins 3, or is that like one of those where it's like it's in production for 20 years?
Well,
I know that Gremlins 2 though is more self-referential about this kind of thing. So they kind of took it in a more self-aware meta mode for the sequel, and they like referenced some of the bad reviews that they got. I mean, I think Leonard Maltin even cameos and says his bad review of the first movie in this movie.
Yeah, he does.
So they kind of find their own groove with how meta they are, and how sort of it's sort of like the way Deadpool is today, right? It's sort of very much breaking that fourth wall, letting the audience know that they know that we know that you know, kind of a thing.
Right.
So yeah,
that's what I got out of the second one, to be honest with you. It's pretty much a parody of itself, if you think about it. And also too, with the they did announce that they were trying to make a third movie, but they're not doing a third film now. Now they're doing like a Mugwai HBO Max animated style movie.
Yeah, I did see that.
I think that works out pretty well to have that animation type of style and everything too, just to see what it would look like animated.
Sure.
But I'm definitely interested in more stuff with Gremlins and stuff. But you know, if they were to do it, I would say going ahead, add some practical effects with a little bit of CGI just to fluff it up a little bit, but not enough to where it takes you out of the movie, because too much CGI takes me out. So if they do it in the right context, if they decide to do a Gremlins 3, I'm all for it. But it has to be in the right way.
I could see them doing a reboot. I can't see them making a third one.
Yeah.
But I know that whenever people do reboots now, they're always super horror. So I feel like if they did
grittier Gremlins.
Yeah, it's Gremlins. It would be like the Rob Zombie Halloween franchise. You'd have Gremlins, but they would be
they're slimier.
It would be really gory, and you know, they'd probably take all the fun out of it.
Yeah, I love the puppets. The only thing that I feel like if they were to make it now, it could benefit with a little CG is just seaming together the like hand puppet to table puppet transitions, instead of having like a character have to drop it off screen and then pan the camera down to reveal the one that's already on the table or whatever, you know, like those little transitions took me out of it. But I do love the practical use of the puppets, the real little creatures running around everywhere, the pods that are real, and he touches the slime and it's goopy, and like there's a more visceral vibe to those creatures because they were actual little carved foam things, you know.
Right.
So I'm with you. The practical element of it is not necessarily what feels dated to me. It's sort of like everything surrounding the practical effects. In this movie, the writing, the tone, even the lighting, you know, the fact that it's shot in almost exclusively in the Universal backlot is just very much like,
oh yeah,
it's totally an 80s film.
It's totally Hill Valley.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you're right. When it first starts, I'm like, hey, where's Marty? Where's Doc?
Yeah, and all the houses that they shot on are on Colonial Street in Universal City backlot, which is like, I think it's the like Leave It to Beaver.
It's
Christmas Vacation.
It's
like,
Desperate Housewives.
Desperate Housewives.
And
yeah, like, it's all shot in that neighborhood.
And
area.
it's also the Burbs.
In the Burbs, yeah.
The Burbs shop.
Very familiar with that residence.
But you know, it does. The neighborhood does seem like it's a little too, you know, close together. It doesn't feel real, to be honest with you. It feels like Leave It to Beaver a little bit. It has that kind of feel to it because of how small the town actually looks.
Right.
And everything. And I live in a small town. They could have actually made the town a lot bigger than what they are supposed to, when it's supposed to be. But it seems like, oh, let's go over to the bar. Now, okay, guess what? We're going to go visit the crazy guy from World War II. But he lives just down the road over here. But he's too drunk to drive. He just lives next door to the bar, for example.
The bar is probably the 80s cafe from...
The 80s cafe is the savings
bank.
And loan. It's the
bank.
bank.
It's the bank. Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Every
I was watching it. I was like,
film,
I was like watching it. I'm like, oh, they're going into the 80s cafe. I was like, that's the savings and loan.
I was documenting like, well, there's the Shell station or the Texaco station or the whatever era you're referring to.
I didn't think they used that side of it.
Yeah, they use all of it.
Okay, I didn't see a crane that side to it.
Yeah, they use the side that has. I was when they were doing the long shot to get to the movie theater area. I think they're pulling away from the movie theater as he's walking through town. And I nudged my 10-year-old and I was like, that's the road that Marty went down to get back to 1985 when Doc had to plug in the plug. And he's like, what? And he's like, oh my gosh, it is. That's amazing.
When they're going to the movie theater,
when
they're going to the movie theater, did you look and see if there was a poster for Mayor Goldie Wilson?
Yeah, right. I was trying to
look at the posters.
The marquees or the posters reference anything. I'm sure they do. I couldn't tell.
I bet you they have.
There's probably an Easter egg in there somewhere.
Not for Back to the Future.
Yeah, it's not coming out for another year.
They do have. I mean, you were right, John. They had what's it called? Indiana Jones was in there.
It was Indiana Jones was definitely referenced. I'm sure there's a bunch of other ones that are probably not as subtle that we're just missing. But, yeah.
But we're just going to take a minute here to talk about something else real quick, and then we'll jump back into our review. But we are actually sponsored by Manscaped. Manscaped is actually one of my favorite. Matter of fact, I just got done using this over the weekend and everything. I'm just going to say it's amazing. But if you go on ahead and use the promo code, and of course you get 20% off by using Movie Lovers Unite, you go. And a matter of fact, support for Movie Lovers Unite is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precise engineering tools that Gremlins won't even think about messing with, because your family jewels will feel safe with Manscaped. And they just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right. The 4.0 joined over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this effective over for you 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the promo code Movie Lovers Unite. Imagine shaving the sleek, well-designed, and optimized trimmer that makes shaving time your favorite time in the bathroom. I'm only one of the first people to try the new 4.0, and I'm blown away with the performance, the craftsmanship, and details on the 4.0 next level. Manscaped Engineering, the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and incredibly comfortable grooming experience. Their 4th generation trimmer features cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin technology. I now feel confident shaving my boys, because here's the thing: you can get a little too close to your boys and you don't want them nipped. You don't want nothing to be in the way of your boys, and Manscaped does a fantastic job at trying to keep your boys safe. And the upgraded trimmer includes a multi-function on and off switch that can engage a travel lock. It also gives you the ability to turn the 4,000 LED spotlight on and off within the needed for a more precise shape. That's right. All the hard to reach places that you never knew that you had before can be lighted. And of course, Gremlins are not allowed to even keep this because of the fact that the LED light will actually blind them. And of course, if you get too close to the light, you're going to wind up having a giant mess. So the spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shape. The Lawnmower 4.0 even allows you to customize your trim through additional guard links with sizes 1 through 4. Did I mention wireless charging? The new wireless charging system uses electromagnetic induction and can help battery length last longer. Men, if you've been shaving with the nut trimmer on your face, you've been doing it wrong. No person wants to end up with pubes in their mouth. That's right. That's just nasty. You know, no girl wants to go on ahead and have all that in your mouth or whatever. That's why you want to go ahead, trim your boys, make sure that they're neat and firm and neat, and you need to have it to where you don't feel like you're working on a bonsai tree from the Karate Kid. So nobody wants to go ahead and work on a bonsai tree. They want a nice, smooth tree. So go on ahead, get yourself a Manscaped. Use the promo code 20% off of your Manscaped by using the promo code Movie Lovers Unite. And that's everything that you guys can do to help us at Movie Lovers Unite to keep this promo going is get your 20% off and use the promo code Movie Lovers Unite. So now that we got done talking about the boys not being nicked or anything, we can talk about the Gremlins. So
yeah. Go from Gizmo to Gremlin with Manscaped.
The 4.0.
Yeah, your balls will thank you.
Your balls will thank you. But let's talk about the post-traumatic stress disorder that the guy actually has, the neighbor actually has, because dealing with gremlins and stuff like that, because of the fact he's been in World War II, and these gremlins are now making their way to the neighborhood, and now all of a sudden people are actually believing in him, basically, because of the post-traumatic stress that everybody thought they was just full of crap.
Yeah, he's like the town conspiracy theorist. Like if they remade this now, he'd be the QAnon guy going around town and everybody's like, okay, whatever, and then they actually show up and vindicate him. Yeah, he's probably the realest character in the whole movie for me. Like he seemed like the most, like that's an actual person that I've met. Like I know that person in my life. I've met a few of them in my life. Yeah, and what a way to go with his own tractor being hoisted upon him.
I like to think that he didn't die there. I like to think that he's safe in a hospital somewhere.
They got pushed through the wall of his house.
No, they didn't show that. They just showed it going towards him, and then they cut away.
Yeah, the gremlin was just like, gotcha, and then hopped out the cab of the truck.
I like to think that him and his wife jumped through the window, and they're fine somewhere.
Yeah, I like that too, Jeff.
But you know what, though? He is actually in the second film, though, because he go on ahead and revisit him. Right. Yeah. So he is alive. I don't know how, but he managed to make it.
All right. So, well, good for him.
I'm glad you make it, buddy.
His wife didn't?
Yeah, his wife made it too, because I remember they made a sandwich for him. Don't ask me how I remember this, but supposedly they made a sandwich for him, and then of course he goes, I'm sorry, dude. I had the sandwich made for you, but some guy sat on it in the subway, but here you go. And his wife and him are also touring New York City, and they're being haunted down by this gremlin that's like a bat gremlin. Mm-hmm. And stuff like that looks like something from Paris, France, because of the whole entire building layouts that they have up in New York.
Yeah, he's what are they called?
The gargoyles.
Yeah,
gargoyles.
Gargoyles.
Yeah, gargoyles. Yeah.
Yeah, those.
Well,
yeah, what he said.
I mean, what's also weird about Gremlins is at the end they come out and all the Gremlins are gone because they say that everybody's gone and there's nobody to mess with anymore, but then at the end the mom's still alive and everybody's still alive. So I never understood that. Like, if they were done messing with people because everybody's gone,
or they went into hiding, or they ran away, they drove out of town. Like, yeah, I mean
how are they able to rest and watch Snow White?
Well, they're not very thorough. They're just mischievous, right? Like they cause them a muck. They run amok, and then they're like, it's downtime now. Maybe they punch a clock.
They're able to
hour 4. We're union, so we got to take a break.
And they're able to speed up that one woman's electronic chair, in seconds. But they can't work a film reel.
Projector.
Yeah,
That took them a while. Yeah,
and they only could put on reel 4 because
that's all they could find, I guess.
well, no, they put on the first one and they spun it out of control.
Oh, that's true, huh?
Yeah, so
they replaced it with
there's a lot of things in this movie. It just makes me wonder, well,
Well,
I might have to watch it 4 or 5 more times.
They're not good at electronics or mechanics. They're good at screwing up electronics or mechanical things.
True. So when they went, so Stripe in the front row was like, "Damn it, I want to watch myself some Snow White."
Yeah.
And all these guys know how to do is just fuck up some shit.
He's just like all he wanted to watch was Hi Ho,
and that's
he's like, "That was real too, assholes!" Like, oh, I'm going.
And he's
kind of
like Thanos. He's like, you know what? Screw it. I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
And he goes across the street to Montgomery Ward.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, props to Montgomery Ward for still being around during this movie. And he goes and gets himself some num-nums.
Yeah, I think one of the other gremlins asks for Milk Duds specifically.
Yeah,
Milk Duds. I think one of the gremlins does that. So you talk about like the gremlins like knowing pop culture references and stuff. Apparently, all of the dialogue of the gremlins was all ad-libbed by the voice actors who did the voices. So it's like Frank Welker, who I think is like the voice of Optimus Prime. No, he's like Frank Welker is. He's one of the Transformers. I think both Optimus Prime and Megatron are voices in this movie. Howie Mandel is Gizmo. There's a bunch of voice actors that are in this, and they just were like dicking around at a recording studio, essentially just ad-libbing a bunch of weird things based off of some of the visual cues that they were given from footage that was already shot. And they're saying a bunch of weird combinations of English words like Milk Duds or Bright Light or like there's a whole bunch of,
and in the end, Gizmo.
Yeah, Gizmo. Yeah, but, so it was all none of that was scripted. It was all just like, we got gold. Joe Dante was like, we got gold from these voice actors. Put it all in.
But you know what, though? Going off of what you said, Jeff, though, about wondering about the fact that where do they know these pop culture references and stuff like that? Don't forget, they came off of Gizmo's back. Gizmo's also been watching TV. So therefore, there's something within the DNA probably to where maybe that's how it's actually referenced. Yeah. It's just something that I thought of just on a whim, just thinking about it. But I'm thinking because of DNA.
Yeah.
And him watching TV has something to do with it.
Because his previous owner said when he comes pick him up, he's like, "Oh, you let him watch TV?
American TV. Yeah.
Like you should never let him watch TV." When he picks him up, that's the first thing he said. So maybe that's why.
Yeah. He was just binge watching, old movies and stuff in that kid's attic.
By the way, Gremlins Christmas movie, but for some reason,
kind of,
they were only watching Halloween movies in the movie.
Except It's a Wonderful Life, I think, comes on.
Does it?
Yeah, they watch It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay, because most of the time they're watching Christmas. They're watching
mom
Halloween
is watching
movies.
It. The Gremlins and Gizmo are watching more like
there's like Halloween movies on most of the time, which is weird. I was like,
the mom is watching It's a Wonderful Life when she's cutting onions.
Maybe they're watching the horror movies as a reflection as themselves and watching it for their entertainment pleasure based off of what they see themselves as. That's just me thinking.
Maybe that's why they start killing everything. You know what? This whole movie checks out. Brilliant.
Like I said, that's just on a whim on what I thought.
No, it makes sense.
But actually, that does make sense why they get the pop culture references because of all the stuff he's been watching.
Binge watching television. Yeah.
So this movie is a reflection. So the one thing that is
the Gremlins are us.
The social commentary you see in the end where he says that we don't have the ability to, it's too much responsibility to take care of this because, we can't,
It's what John said about like us not being able to handle our own diets and stuff. Like, stick to the thing. It's a reflection of us. The Gremlins are us.
Right.
And our inability to
it's what we turn into
our own self-will.
If we don't keep to the rules of society, this is what happens to us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got a much deeper message. You know what? This movie should have won an Oscar.
Switch the envelope, Corey.
This now. Everybody, switch the Wikipedia pages. We're giving Gremlins the 1985 Oscar for Best Original Screenplay.
You know what, though? You guys should do like an episode of giving certain movies that shouldn't be nominated for movies, give them a nomination during Oscar season. And have
I like this, like creating a real deep idea from something that was pretty shallow on its surface, like finding the nugget of real art
Like
in
finding
Gremlins.
the art within a movie that is just total shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
It so happens to be that golden nugget is the shit that was the Gremlins, but you know,
one man's trash is another man's treasure, and that's
Right.
what we will find.
And
The treasure
sometimes-
within the trash.
Yeah.
right. But still, overall, this movie is fun if you want to go ahead and watch it with your friends. It's actually streaming on HBO Max right now, so you don't have to rent it or anything like that. Even
Also
part two.
on Peacock.
Oh, is it on Peacock as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
Peacock has every single horror movie right now, including Halloween Kills.
All of the Halloweens, yeah, and the new one that just came out. That's right.
Yeah, I was so shocked. I'm still excited about that, so that's why, you know.
I was excited that I had a streaming service show up as an option for this, because last time we watched Cliffhanger, I rented that not knowing that it was on Netflix. I was very
I
upset
remember
at
that.
myself. I got an earful from my wife. Are you
need
kidding me? It's on Netflix? As soon as I got home from this recording session, she was watching it live, and she was like, "Are you kidding me? It was on Netflix the entire time we rented that?" Yeah, sorry.
It's like, well, baby, it was for a good cause. It was like
Yeah,
$5.
I can write it off on the taxes, right? It's like an entertainment thing. Itemize
It's
it.
for
Right?
work.
Well, we are sorry you spent $3.99.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, not a big cost, but this one was already in my streaming service.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
Because I have to rent The Thing Saturday so I can review The Thing, which is the John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
So I got to do that one for Saturday.
Both.
I have
Rent
not
the original
seen.
too,
I have not
for
seen
context.
The Thing.
Me either.
I've never
This
watched
was
The
my
Thing.
first time.
Yeah, and for being a horror fan, I thought I should have seen that, but I've never seen it.
It's good.
And those were
But
one of the movies that I lied about, that I said that I saw it whenever I didn't see it. So there.
There
you go.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
making it up.
Right? It's
Yeah,
like,
the-
yeah,
the-
you saw
the
that,
thing is
right?
good.
I said, yeah, sure did. Walked away afterwards.
Movies you lie about, people
Right.
people
Yeah.
do it.
Right.
I mean, if you're not into sort of Carpenter's version of suspense, it might not completely sit with you, but it's good. It's a good horror film.
To be honest with you, I watched They Live recently for the first time all the way through.
Hmm.
I like that one. And then now I'm getting ready to watch The Fog. Then I'm getting ready to watch this is just the season for John Carpenter for this year. So
Yeah.
I'm happy that I'm getting a chance to watch these movies for the first time. And besides Halloween, that's like the only thing that I watched of John Carpenter's was Halloween. And of course, there was a one with there's one movie called Vampires, which is like a B-rated movie with James Woods, which was one of my favorite movies. But to be able to experience John Carpenter's work for the first time, I feel privileged to be able to do that.
Yeah, to like cracking that seal for the first time is exciting.
Right.
One day I'll do
is.
that with the Fast and the Furious movies, but
Yeah.
that day's not today or tomorrow.
You want to watch me rant for about 30 minutes on the ninth one? That will be a good one to watch.
I've never seen the ninth
See,
one.
I don't want any spoilers.
I
No.
stopped at. Wait, which one is the Brazil one again? 7?
4? 5.
4. 5 is
No.
the Brazil one.
5.
I
5
don't
is. That's where I stopped.
Okay.
I stopped at
Yeah.
Brazil.
We have a whole filmography on our playlist of Fast and the Furious movies almost. We just have 2 more left in the timeline because there's actually a timeline with it.
A much cleaner timeline, even though it does jump around a lot, but a much cleaner timeline than the Halloween movies.
Yeah, I was trying
Right.
to tell Corey that I think that not to get too off base, but I was trying to tell Corey that I think the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift actually happens like after Fast and Furious 7 or something like that, right?
Yeah,
If you go,
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the only one I've actually seen cover to cover is Tokyo Drift.
Nice.
But-
And that's why everybody goes, oh, well, that's why you don't see any other Fast and Furious movies. That's the worst one. And I was like, I don't know, it was all right.
Yeah,
it's
Tokyo Drift
fine.
is definitely the worst one. Part 5 is always going to be my favorite one because
My
of the
favorite
heist and everything. That's what changed the Fast and Furious franchise and put the stamp on it.
Which one does
So-
Jason Statham come into?
Part 7. That's whenever The Rock.
He doesn't come in part 7. Okay.
That's when The Rock breaks his cast. That's the one that you
Oh,
said that he felt like he was like
He flexes
OP.
out of his cast.
And
He's
then
just like, Daddy's got to go to work, and then flexes out of his cast. Yeah.
that just sounds crazy.
I've
to me,
only
like,
seen parts of that particular one because it was like that one was Paul Walker's last one, I
Right.
think. So I was curious. So I saw parts of it. When The Rock was like, "Daddy's got to go to work," and flexed out of a cast, I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm done. Sorry, no."
You see, that's like Gremlins, but with Fast and the Furious style. Is you just
but
have
I feel
to...
like if The Rock was a star today, he would have played the main character in Gremlins.
It feels like
it would have been like
Nom noms.
No,
you know what?
Vin
I would
Diesel
pay to see.
would have been Spike. Vin Diesel would have done the voice for Spike, while The Rock would have been like
I am Spike.
I'm Spike.
All I can think of is that shark commercial for the action figures that Vin Diesel did back in the 90s.
Oh, was it like
I forgot what that was.
Street Sharks?
Yeah, Street Sharks. He did that commercial and everything. This is back when Vin had hair. That's how long it's been.
That's a podcast title right there. When Vin had hair.
And just do everything from the late 90s.
But
welcome to When Vin Had Hair.
Let's rate this movie based on how thick his hair is.
Yeah.
Hair length.
Yeah. This is Vin with a cul-de-sac.
This is buzz cut. It doesn't pass. It doesn't pass.
No hair.
Vin Diesel. This
no
is Vin
hair.
Diesel shaved.
Yeah, this is Vin Diesel manscaped.
Oh my God. I'm done. But guys, seriously, I'm glad that I had you guys back on the show again. I always like listening to y'all's podcast. You guys do a fantastic job over there at Switch the Envelope, things like that. That's why I wanted to have you back on again. I feel like we converse very well, and just trying to pick the right kind of movie for us to watch and review is always great to do a back and forth with.
Absolutely,
man.
It's always fun. Although we never talked about Phoebe Cates. We never talked about Phoebe Cates in this entire thing.
That's true. Phoebe Cates.
Let's talk about her.
Oh, if we've got a little bit of time. Phoebe Cates. We do. She's in like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Gremlins, and Drop Dead Fred, and then like nothing else.
But Judge Reinhold is also in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
That's true.
Gremlins and then the Beverly Hills Cop movies, and that's nothing else.
She's one of those actresses that as soon as she comes on the screen, you can't help but like just fall in love with her. For me, at least, like she's always been one of those where like she comes on screen, she has some lines, and you're just like, "Yep, I'm in love." Like full on crush mode right now. Can't help it.
Well, she got married to Kevin Kline.
Yeah, and then she stopped acting.
Yeah, 1989. They've been married since then.
I did it. Drop the mic. Done. I accomplished everything.
She had very iconic roles.
Yeah, she also felt very pigeonholed by her Fast Times at Ridgemont High type of role. And actually, the studio didn't want her cast in this because of the Fast Times at Ridgemont. They thought she was too racy for Gremlins.
Racy for Gremlins?
Yeah. Gremlins is too racy for Gremlins to be.
Yeah, there's a gremlin in a bikini top in the bar with lipstick and a wig. Phoebe Cates is the least of your problems if you're thinking about racy things.
There's a flasher gremlin at Phoebe Cates. I don't think they have to worry.
Yeah, he flashes. Although that whole scene with Phoebe Cates in the bar is just like, why is she still there? Why is she serving them? How is she not just run away?
Like
she's a hostage. Yeah.
Nobody else wanted to take this shift. It was like, okay,
pouring beers and like, oh, maybe I'll just keep them happy.
Now, also,
lighting cigarettes and stuff.
She's lighting the cigarettes. They already have lit cigarettes. Yeah. And then she tries to light their cigarettes again, and they run away from the fire. Yeah. How did they light them the first time?
That's a good question. Yeah. Another logic shift. Yeah, we can't explain this.
I don't have a logic for that
watching
one.
TV. Yeah.
Anyway,
maybe there's one gremlin who's totally cool with the fire, and he's just lighting them and passing it, lighting it and passing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That could be it.
It's the only way I can explain.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but speaking
she's
of Phoebe,
great
though, the douchebag clerk that's in the bank is played in that one though too. He played in Fast Time at Ridgemont High.
Judge Reinhold, yeah, who says he's 23 but really looks 36. Like,
right. But to be honest with you, the bar scene is actually pretty funny though. Whenever you look at it and stuff like that,
it is. It's a funny scene.
It is.
It just seems like one of those scenes they were all up late, getting high and going, "What can we do here that's funny?"
Yeah, there was a list that the writers kept, or like the filmmakers kept. One list was like, screwed up things that the Gremlins just do, like the mischief Gremlins thing, and the other one was like how to fuck with Gizmo. Like, what can the Gremlins do to fuck with Gizmo? One of those was like throwing the dartboard, because they were dealing with the sort of limits of the puppets and what the puppets could do and couldn't do. And like, you know, if they wanted it to articulate a certain way, it had to be fixed and then wired for the animatronics to work and all that kind of stuff. So they were like, could we put them on a dartboard? And they were like, yeah, we could fix them to a dartboard. So that's how that gag sort of makes it in. But like all of the smoking, the like flashing, all of those little sight gags were just like, they did a bunch of bullet points. Like, can the Gremlins do this? Yeah, I think we could accomplish that. All right, put it on the list. Can they do this? No, we can't do that. All right, scratch that off the list, you know. But yeah,
I can just see
that
it.
whole
All
bar
the
is
shit that makes sense
everything.
in this movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The shit that makes sense. Logic. No logic this way.
Yeah.
Let's go with no logic this way for 200, Alex.
Sight gags over logic. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's think. What else can we do? Let's torture Gizmo a little bit more to fill in the gaps and also put them in a bar. Perfect idea. Let's do that.
Yeah.
But-
you see shades of other movies that are connected to this movie in weird ways too. Like Gizmo falling down the laundry chute is very, very much a foreshadowing of how Kevin McAllister in Home Alone deals with one of the wet bandits through the laundry chute, you know. Some of the other things that we've mentioned that are like Back to the Future types of things, with the mad scientist, bad inventor who, you know, is doing his thing, the scrappy kid. You know.
I think this and Mr. Smith are also the Mr. and Mrs. Smith are the only movies that end in a department store.
Oh, maybe.
That's
Right. Right. There you go.
Yeah, that and there's like a Dane Cook movie, maybe, that Employee of the Month or something.
Oh, that doesn't count. It's Dane
Is that
Cook.
like a
It's Dane
Costco?
Cook movie.
I think that's more like a Costco, not a department store.
Yeah, that's
well,
more
actually,
like
I think Mr. and Mrs. Smith is also a Costco.
No, it's like an IKEA. I thought.
Is it?
Yeah, I thought it was like a department store. There's like
Okay.
different departments in there.
And like I said,
housewares
Employee of the
and
Month
bedding
doesn't
and-
count because it's Dane Cook.
Yeah,
True.
yeah, that's true.
But another thing that comes close to this movie, though, in a sense, is the Krampus movie.
Mm.
Yes.
Because they both are really similar in the ridiculousness of it. And then also, too, you also have the minions of Krampus and stuff like that.
And they're both
which is
Christmas horror movies.
Mhm.
Yes.
There's quite a few Christmas horror movies, like
Silent
Christmas. Yeah, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Black Christmas, the original and the remake, Krampus. You know, the Gremlins. You know, Die Hard.
Night. Yes.
Well, Die Hard's not horror. It's
No,
just,
I'm
No.
kidding.
It's just on
it's just a
Christmas.
fun
It
night
isn't
at the movie.
until we pair him with Michael Myers for Yippee Ki-Yay, Michael Myers.
Yeah. Which
There's
I think we're
also
gonna have
Jack
to make that
Frost.
movie.
Yeah,
Jack Frost.
Yeah, there's a slew of scary Christmas movies. That's what was so interesting when we were doing the Halloween episode. It's like one of the very few movies centered around Halloween. You
Yes.
know,
Mhm.
as a scary movie, I should say. One of the few scary movies actually centered around the scary holiday.
It really is.
And there's way more that are centered around Christmas, including Gremlins. But yeah, it is an interesting twist. I think they're trying to like juxtapose, like, it's the happiest time of the year. No, now it's the scariest time of the year. You know. And then they released the movie in June. Like, go figure. Who knows? Like,
Well,
I
the
don't
new
even feel
Scream,
Christmassy at that time.
the new Scream is being released in July, I think.
is Scream supposed to be holiday based?
No, I'm saying the new
No.
horror movie. I'm
Oh
saying
yeah, horror
Scream
movies.
is being released in July and not
So
in
summer
October.
is a very popular time to release horror films in general.
It shouldn't be.
I agree. I think it's like fall, but then it's because they want to get as many people, because they're audience grabs, right? They turn out to be blockbusters, especially like a movie like Gremlins that makes $200 freaking million. They're like, oh, people come to see this, and more people watch movies in the summer than they do in the sort of winter. And as they get closer to the end of the year, they start pumping out their like serious movies, their Oscar contenders, you know, so they got to clear the way for, you know, the big budget stuff.
That's
and
true.
the lower budget awards grab stuff.
But they did. The release date is actually January 14th for the new Scream.
January.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh.
I didn't. Yeah.
It's
January.
okay. It's fine.
It was a
But-
J. It was
yeah,
a J.
it was, hey,
you
it
know,
was close, man.
counts.
It was close.
Yeah.
It was close.
It had
You
a
only
Y
missed it
at
by
the
6
end.
months. It's
Right.
fine.
Y at the end of the name.
Right,
the
you're
month.
good.
Yeah.
But
It's a month that has 28 days. It's fine. 'Cause they all have 28 days, Jeff.
January
Has 28 days.
It has 31.
But it also has 28 days, guys.
That's
all
true.
months have 28 days.
Okay, Corey. I get the logic.
That's from a really dumb brain teaser riddle.
But guys, I just want to say once. But no, I just want to say once again, this has been great. I've always liked you guys coming on the show. This is your second appearance, of course, but listening to your podcast, listening to how passionate you are about films and stuff like that, and things, and just the stuff that you come up with is just great. And where can everybody reach you at if they want to go ahead and follow you on social media and all that other good stuff?
Corey?
Well, thank you so much for having us on again.
Thanks a lot, man.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the kind words. Really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
We do try to stay entertaining, and we are definitely passionate. I think that's the only thing that people can't, take away from us, is that we are passionate about films. And if you want to continue the conversation with us online, you can go to our Twitter @SwitchEnvelope, or you can follow us on Instagram @SwitchTheEnvelope. Of course, you can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts, or you could go to switchtheenvelope.com for all your Switch the Envelope needs.
All right.
I think I hit those all. Yeah. It felt a lot smoother than it usually is. Usually I clunk through that.
Don't feel bad. Sometimes I stumble and I'm like, I forgot.
Yeah. See, on the podcast, we could edit that whole spiel to sound nice. We're live on the internet right now. I feel like I did a pretty good job.
You did great. You did good.
Yeah. I'm gonna pat myself on the back.
Pat yourself on the back.
I hit the post. Yeah.
So, guys, if you guys want to, go ahead and follow me underneath on Facebook at Movie Lovers TV Lovers Night over there. Of course, on Instagram and Pinterest underneath the same brand name. Of course, you guys can go on and get a audio podcast only episode of wherever you guys get your podcast from. And then, of course, go over to Good Pods. Good Pods is a great place and everything for social media for people who love podcasts, or if you're a podcaster yourself. The easy play button is fantastic. It's easy to use. It's great. And also, too, it's very interactive with our audience to know what you liked and what you didn't like. You can also rate us. It also helps us out with the rankings and stuff like that with Good Pods. Another thing, though, too, is I actually teamed up with Two Blur Girls podcast, and we're doing a charity event with them, with Cincy's once again. And this time, all the donations go over to the Children's of St Jude Children's Hospital. So go ahead, get yourself a Cincy, and all the proceeds go to Children's of St Jude's. Of course, if you want to donate to our page, all you have to do is go ahead, go to GoFundMe.com/Movie Lovers Podcast. Donate $5 to $10 over there. But a simple like, a simple share, smashing that little subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side corner also helps us as well. And then also, too, smashing that little bell on the bottom right-hand corner also allows you to know when we have something new. Speaking of something new, we actually did a couple of trailer reactions, and we did the Uncharted trailer reaction tonight. We also did a Michael Bay trailer reaction for Ambulance. Then we also did our very first video games trailer reaction for basically Suicide Squad versus Justice League. And then we also got some other content dropping throughout the rest of the week. And then, of course, guys, you guys can go on ahead and follow me underneath Movie Lovers Unit on Twitter. And then, of course, Movie Lovers Unit on TikTok at 001. And then, of course, if you would like to be on the show or you would like to be a sponsor, just go on ahead and reach out to me at movieloversunite@gmail.com. And that's everywhere you can reach me at. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Corey, so much for being a part of this Scream on Screen event for horror movies. I do appreciate it. Always, until next time, it's been real, it's been fun, and I can't wait to do this again. And bye-bye.